Hey, NFL football fans, this is Gary Green in Las Vegas, 35-year professional sports bettor and sports handicapper with your Sunday night preview of the week. And it's a big one in the AFC as the Bills travel to the Meadowlands to take on the New York Jets. The Buffalo Bills, a 2.5 point road favorite, and the total 41. And you can expect some possible rain for this ball game. And in fact, by kickoff time, the temperature might be right down around 32 degrees. And this is a big game. This has been a big game since day one. But it's amazing to see that the Bills, who started off flying out the gate 3-0, they have really played poorly the last two games. And the Jets have lost two straight now off their London loss to Minnesota. So one of these two teams is going to head out with a 3-game losing streak. And, it won't be a killer because of the fact that the division is poor, especially right now overall. It'll be up for grabs for pretty much most of the year. But when I'm looking at this game and what I've been watching on the tape, and that's really what I do a lot of, really look in depth on the tape, and the tape really often will not lie. And the fact is that these two teams, especially the last 2 weeks, they're just not completing third down conversions. And the Bills went from being red hot to where they can't even convert a third down. In fact, the last two games, it got so bad that they really pulled Allen and company early in the fourth quarter. The situation is not changed and won't change for the Bills. The bottom line is the Bills receivers are just not elite. And this is not going to change anytime soon. And they're going to now go against a Jets defense that, although the team's overall record and what you would think is everything is running bad for the Jets, the defense isn't running bad for the Jets. This defense is a top three defense in the league, and they have one of the top two cornerbacks in the league in Sauce Gardner, and he'll easily shut down the number one receiver for the Bills. When you look at the last two games for the Jets, this is a situation where the Jets have actually held their opponents to 3 for 14 against Denver 2 weeks ago, and last week 4 for 13 against Minnesota. And, sometimes you hear this team has given up this amount of points per game. That's always almost a lie by you get to this point, because the fact is that Rodgers threw a pick six. The defense didn't give up that 7 points. And the defense held them a couple of times after turnovers to the situation where it could have been way worse. So when teams throw pick sixes, or there's special teams scores, even a fluke big play, it's not always on the defense. The big play would be on the defense, but not the fluke plays or the interceptions for a touchdown like last week. So we know that the Jets are going to come in off of two losses at home. They're going to have the home field. I'm very surprised at the line. The worst to me, it should have been a pick 'em. But I look at this total and I'm very surprised at the number being 41, especially with rain and cold weather. I expect that this number will probably go down to 39 range when the game kicks off or gets closer, and it's the standalone game and everybody's trying to bail out from their losses come Sunday night. And, anytime there's a marquee matchup like this, it's going to get heavier betting. And it should, because these are two of the better teams. They're not playing like it the last couple of weeks. But when we go back to the Bills, we have a situation for the Bills here where their defense has forced 9 turnovers, 5 interceptions, and 4 fumble recoveries in 5 games is really doing well. So I expect that stuff to continue because that's what they're taught to do, and they have a defensive-minded head coach. But the offense has only turned it over 2 times, no interceptions yet by Allen, and 2 fumbles lost in 5 games. Usually regression is going to step in and they're going to at least turn it over 1 time here, especially against a really good Jets defense. Now, where do they do it? That could hurt your total, especially when you're betting, an under. But this is a situation where the Bills 276 yards 2 weeks ago, total offense, after a 3-0 where they were being hailed as the greatest show on earth, especially on offense. And Josh Allen already had the MVP locked up. And then they had 236 total yards against Baltimore. So this is back-to-back bad games. And I expected that they would have more lower type offensive outputs with the offensive receiving that they have. They have 1 decent receiver for the most part. They're relying on a young rookie. I know he's a first-round pick, but, they don't have the big-name guys. And you're not just going to gel in the first 3-4 weeks. That's why what they did in the first few weeks was really surprising. And that's all due to Josh Allen, really, because that's how good he is. He's just getting better and better for the most part, especially with his reads at the line of scrimmage. But at the line of scrimmage, he's going to have a lot tougher time going against the Jets defense. And again, this Jets offense, right now, the offensive line just is not good. And I say it week in and week out for 35 years. I've done 10,000 radio shows. If your offensive line is no good, you're not gonna be able to compete and help the quarterback have big days week after week after week, because you're going to commit a lot of penalties, and that's what's happening. And right now, Rodgers is a little bit slow. He's still just coming back from the injury. Now they're going to have a new play caller, so there's going to be a whole change of system, and that affects more the other players than it does Rodgers. He's been around enough that they're going to work in what he wants, but it's the other players that are going to have to learn from that. So I'd be really surprised if these two teams' offenses break out this week against really two defenses for each team that is playing very, very well. So with the under 41 right there on Sunday night, and cold weather and possibly rain to help out, if you're all looking at taking the under, I think the value here is definitely on the under 41. So should be a good game, though. Very interesting to see. Again, who loses is going to be in a real world of trouble to lose three straight games this early in the year with offenses that, especially on the Jet side, just not clicking yet. Going to be harder to overcome, although the defenses will keep both of these two teams probably in games a lot the rest of the year. So hopefully this preview will help you out a little bit before you make your bets for Sunday night. And again, it's Gary Green of GaryWins.com. Have a great weekend.